Hi, this is Chris Pinion, creator of Clear the Decks, the cooperative naval combat card game. This video will be a pretend unboxing of the game. I will show you how to set up, take a couple turns, and I'll demonstrate what the end game looks like. The box and the rules, some of the artwork might change when the game is finally released, but hopefully this will give you a good indication of what the game looks like and how it plays. First, I'll just quickly show a very preliminary artwork for the box. Still some development work to do, obviously some coloring, but so far pretty happy with how the initial work is going. So what you'll see here is the latest version of the boards. There are 3 boards in the game, and they are used in 3 different configurations. For demonstration purposes today, I'm going to just set up and take a few turns on a 3-stack ship. So we will actually not need this board, it's the 2-stack ship. The 4-stack ship is made of all 3 boards put together. But for this demonstration, what we're going to do is just use 2 of the boards to show you a 3-stack ship. The outlines on the boards, just recommendations of how to place the cards. If you're just playing 2 players, it's nice for you to both sit on the same side of the ship, and then the cards can be laid out across the ship. If there's 3 or 4 players, then a lot of times what we'll do is we'll put the cards this way so it's easier for people to read on both sides. Rulebook. And what I'm going to do is I'll just walk right through the rulebook as far as how to set up the game. What we're going to do is we are just going to pick a middle-of-the-road difficulty. We'll do a 2-player. And the one thing that I find useful for any games like this is to just take a post-it note and cut it in an L. That way you can find which game you're going to play and just put the post-it note on there and it'll help you set up. So in this case, we are just going to play a 2-player Sloop. So we'll just do this, and that's just going to help us keep track of what cards we're putting into the game. So the first thing we'll need to do, we're going to take out the different kinds of cards. Here we've got the crew cards, they're all in blue. We've got borders cards, they're all in red border. The other cards on the enemy ship deck are events, so I'll take these out, separate them. And then we've got structure cards. And then we've got the hull and the leak cards. So the first thing you always do when you are setting up your ship is to put out your hull and your leak cards. So in this case, we've got our stern leak, put that down, the bow leak, put that down, and a waist leak, that goes there. On top of those, we're going to put the hull cards. So we have our waist hull, we've got our stern hull card, and we've got our bow hull card. The other waist, there's a second set of waist cards. Those will just go out of the game since we're only playing 3 stacks. We will also need, of course, our cannon cards. There are 3 different kinds of cannon. There are heavy, there are medium, and there are light. Also just going to take out the player cards for now, and the player guns and instruction cards, and we'll just put the rest of the card box out of the way for now. So, for setting up a 2-player sloop, the first thing we need to do is we check to see what kind of cannon are in there. And in a 2-player sloop, we just need the light cannons, so that makes that easy. If we were playing a more difficult ship, we might put in the medium guns, and for the most difficult ship, we would go medium and heavy guns. So in this case, we're just going to take our light cannon. We're going to use these. The medium and the heavy, they're going to go back in the deck for now, back in the box. If there were more than one kind of cannon, we'd now shuffle those up. And for a 2-player sloop, we're going to take 9 of the cannon cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these 9 are going to go into what's going to become the ship deck. And the others we're going to hold on the side. That's going to become the ship draw deck. Next, what have we got here? Next we've got crew cards. So we need 4 crew cards. These are the outlined in blue. We'll shuffle these up. Now we're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 crew are going to go on the ship to start. The rest of the crew are going to form their own draw deck. And the boarders don't start in the game. They're also their own draw deck. Next we've got events. Events are random things that typically are not good for the players. So we've got all of our event cards. The first time you ever play, I actually recommend taking the shore battery out. It's a nice card, but it's the toughest of the bunch. So we'll just take that one out. So we'll shuffle these up, and this says we need 3 events. So 1, 2, 3. These are also going to go into our ship assembly deck, and the rest of them are going to get shuffled into the draw deck. Lastly, we have structure cards. So in this case, we need 5. So structure cards, not as obvious. So we have like the mizzen mast, we have the bulwark, we have rigging, we have a sail. So we're going to shuffle these up. And we need 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to put that there into the assembly deck. And the rest of these go into the draw deck. So that's everything that we need to build the ship. What are we going to do now? So we're going to take all of those cards that we just put together for the enemy ship assembly card deck. We're going to shuffle these up. And we're going to deal these out to the different sections of the ship. Ta-da, it works evenly. Then what we're going to do is turn over the card, one top card in each stack. And somehow I got an extra leak card in there. So just for argument's sake, we will pull a extra cannon. Yeah, let's do that. Throw a cannon on there. Now we're going to take all the cards in the ship draw deck. So what'll happen is when you choose a more difficult game and we have a second type of cannon in the game, there'll be a lot more cannon in the draw deck. So when cards give you the option of trying to destroy them or replacing them from the ship draw deck, you might want to think twice about what to do. You don't want to keep pulling new cards in from the enemy ship deck. And that's the ship. It's all set up, and we are at 9.5 minutes, and that was the first time. So with me talking. So once you get good, really shouldn't even take you that long. Players. So the easier thing about setting up the player is all of the player cards get shuffled together. Every game, all the time. Done. We said we're going to play 2 players. So each player is in command of 3 cannon, different size. They're going to get an 18-pounder, a 24-pounder, and a 36-pounder. So one for imaginary player number 1 and one set for player number 2. The rest of the cannon will just go back in the box. We also have for the players a turn action card, and on the flip side of that is the enemy attack priority card. So the other parts, the other pieces in the game, and each gun will start out ready. I'm going to play this upside down so my viewers can see. 18, 24, 36, 18, 24, 36. So the other parts of the game, the tokens. Again, this is just unboxing here. So we have a borders token, and the flip side of that is the damage token. There's enough for every gun to have 2 tokens on it, because as soon as you get a third, a gun is destroyed. We have targeting tokens. So if you notice, there's 4 different colors, and on each side is one number of the cannon and a red X. So we'll just say this is the green player. He's got his 36, his 24, and his 18. And we'll go, the other would be the yellow player. So his 24, his 36, and his 18. And this is useful for setting up targeting so that the other players can understand what you're trying to do, and it will also help you remember what you did when you are flipping guns back to ready or reloading. We have a inactive cannon and inactive crew token. So these are useful. For example, we've got a gunner's mate here. If you destroy the gunner's mate, the nearest cannon doesn't fire. So in that case, we would take this token and we would put it on the enemy cannon to show that it doesn't counterattack this turn. There are other cards that would say that the nearest crew is not active, and in that case we would take the other side, the bandaged hand, and put that on the crew so that we know he doesn't counterattack this turn. So I usually keep these over by the enemy ship draw deck. 4 of those. Got all of our damage and borders tokens. Don't need the rest of these. So to start the game, each player gets 6 cards. If, for any reason, the luck of the draw says you don't start with ammunition, then you're allowed to turn your hand back in and deal yourself some more cards. So in this case, I have a pretty lopsided distribution right now. So what I think I will do is, for expediency, I'm just going to throw in a couple other types of cards. Some people like to preset all their stuff. I'm just showing you how it works out randomly. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards for there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards here. So the different kinds of cards in the player hand. We have ammunition and double ammunition cards. So in this case, we have a round shot card and a double round shot card. So the double round shot, you can use that as 1 or 2 round shot cards. We have officers. So in this case, one player has the surgeon and the other player has the lieutenant. We have tactics. So this player has double charge. Putting 2 bags of powder in your gun makes it shoot twice as hard. So in this case, you would remove an extra card, whatever that you target. And lastly, I saw Marines. So we have Marines. So the Marines are very useful. They can fight or they can do defensive work. So everybody's all set up. I'm actually going to, for my sanity, I'm going to turn around and point these guns at the enemy ship. So let's take a shot. So, player on the left here, we've got the gunner's mate. He's a crewman. And if you download or look at the turn action card, follow along with me, I'll go through the different things. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to figure out our targeting. If we're going to happen to use an officer or a marine, we can use 1 tactic per gun, whether it fires or not. Whatever we decide to shoot at, I'll place the targeting token. We will remove a card, and any card that gets removed, we'll check this little blast symbol, and that would be a consequence of shooting it. Whatever cards are left face up after I attack, that will be a counterattack, and that's where we would look at the crossed cutlasses. After the counterattack, any card that's face down will then get flipped up. Then at the end of the turn, the player would draw 2 cards. The way we remove enemy cards is matching up the gun size. So in this case, we have 18 pounder, and the ammunition type. So we have chain shot, round shot, and I didn't draw a grape shot. That's a G. On the grid on the enemy cards, so every card that you can target on the enemy ship is going to have 18, 24, 36. And that'll tell you what it takes to destroy that card. So let's fire away here. So let's see. If I shoot the bulwark, we will remove the next card if it's a crew. So we would destroy this, check underneath if it was a crew. The cannon, as long as we destroy it, it can't shoot back at us. Or we could target the gunner's mate. If we shoot him, the nearest cannon doesn't act. If we don't shoot him, he'll shoot us. So in this case, I'm going to leave the bulwark alone. I think I'm going to conserve my ammunition for now. I'm just going to take a 24 pounder with chain shot, and I'm going to shoot the gunner's mate. So let's do that. So I'm going to take the chain. I'm going to throw it away. I'm going to flip my 24 pounder because I shot it. I'm going to get rid of the crew, and we're going to check, and the nearest enemy cannon doesn't fire. That's useful. So he's not going to fire at me. I only shot the 1 gun. That's good. So let's take this back. So we figured out our strategy. We fired at the enemy. We checked the consequences. Now let's check the counterattack. So this gun's disabled, doesn't shoot at me. That's useful. And this one is going to add a card from the crew deck underneath it. So we checked our counterattacks. Now we'll flip over any card that's left, and it's another bulwark. This player's turn is done, so they'll draw 2 cards from the player draw deck. And I got Jonah. Seems to be everybody's favorite card, and I got more chain shot. Jonah, he's just a bad luck guy, so on our next turn, we're going to throw him overboard. Now we'll go over to the next player. We're going to take this disabled cannon card out of the way. So he's also got 3 guns ready. Now in his case, I think we'll go after the light cannon and the bulwark. because now we know there's a crew card underneath here, so we know we'll get that benefit. So what have I got here? I got round shot, I got chain shot. Ooh, I also have double charge. My Lieutenant, if I wanted to use him, I could choose a card type. I can reveal cards from the player deck until I get one of those kinds of cards, but I'm pretty good for now. So let's see here. To take out the Bulwark, chain shot would work with my 24. And to take out the light cannon, I'm going to use a round shot with my 18. So let's do that. Fire away. There are apps for phones that make explosion sounds and cannon sounds. You're more than welcome to download one if you like your game to be a little more theatric. So we're going to fire this chain shot out of my 24. So it's going to flip. And what are the consequences here? Remove the next card if it's a crew. Well, we happen to know that it's a crew, so we get him. And we're going to fire a round shot at the 18 pounder. Oops, sorry. And we were going to use double charge with that. So we're using this tactic. That goes away. And that was remove an extra card. So we get the cannon. And we get the bonus card, which in this case was an event. So we avoided this one, and this one was the next player cannot use any tactics on their turn because of the heavy winds. So that's good that we don't have to face that. So I had to turn over both of the guns that I fired. Not doing anything else. Counterattack. So the Bulwark. Replaced with the next card of the crew deck. That goes there. We turn over these other cards. We have the Lookout, he's a crewman. And we have the Repair Crew, also a crewman. Then at the end of our turn, we'll draw 2 cards. And I got 2 round shots. So we're pretty well stocked for ammunition to start the game. We'll have to make sure we keep enough of it for later in the game. So now we go back to the first player again. So he's got 2 guns to use. We have a good number of ammo. Let's see, we have a Bow Chaser tactic card. So the Bow Chaser, that was a gun in the front of the cannon. And in this case, make 1 attack during the attack phase of the player to your left. So with 2 players, it would work either way. So, 2 guns. So the Repair Crew, if I don't destroy him, he's going to take another card from the ship assembly deck, the ship draw deck, and put it underneath. The Lookout, when he's on deck, you can't use an officer. And we know the Bulwark. So, and we know there's already a crewman underneath there. So, unfortunately, if I don't destroy the Lookout, I'm going to lose an officer. So, let's just see what my neighbor's Marine support card is here. Remove 1 borders or remove a cannon reload a cannon after counterattack. No, that's not going to help me. The Surgeon, he can get a tactic or officer back into your hand, so that's not going to help me. So I think what I'm going to do is, I don't want to lose my Surgeon, so I think I'm going after the Lookout, and I think I'm going to go after the Repair Crew. So let's do that. How can we work that out? All right, I got my 18 pounder, and I would need round shot for him. And I've got my 36 pounder, and I would need round shot for the Repair Crew. So that's useful. I have a double round shot. So what that lets me do is use it on both guns. So we're going to go an 18 for him and a 36 for him. So we will discard our double round. We fired the 18, so that's going to flip. We fired the 36, so that's going to flip. We did not fire the 24 pounder because it had already shot last turn, which means we get to flip it back to ready. We destroyed the Lookout. There's no consequences to destroying him. We destroyed the Repair Crew. There's no smash symbol. There's no consequences to destroying him. And And now we check the cutlasses, the counterattack. Well, unfortunately, another crewman's going to go under the bulwark. But at least we didn't take any damage. And that's the turn. So now we will 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. The maximum number of cards in your hand at the end of your turn is 8. So we just drew another round shot, and now we drew some grape shot. And let's see what happens, the other cards that are going to turn over. We got the mizzen mast, and we got rigging. So fortunately, there's no guns that are going to shoot back at this player. So this is the way the game progresses. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go down to the last card in each stack. I'm going to give a little damage just to kind of show what you might come up against, and we'll play out and you'll see kind of how the game would end. So let's just thin this deck down. We're going to go down to 1 card above the hull. So we've got a cannon. We've got another cannon. And we've got, yeah, sure, that's fine. We'll play that an event just turned up. And let's kind of give ourselves some pre-damage here. So let's put a borders and a damage, and 1 there, a couple here, a couple there, and maybe 1 of each there. So, counterattacks. If you get 2 borders tokens on 1 gun, your gun can't fire and it can't reload because your crew is struggling to fight the borders. If you get any combination of 3 tokens on a gun, the gun's destroyed and it's gone. So let's just assume that player 1 was about to go. Let's assume we got rid of Jonah. And we turned over the seabird swarm. A whole bunch of seabirds swarming in your face. Let's see. Replace with the next card, with the top card of the enemy ship deck. Next player cannot fire or ready their 18-pounder. If you ever had a bunch of seagulls in your face, you know it's really frustrating. So we discard that. We bring in a new card. And fortunately, it's not a 3rd gun, it's rigging. So in this case, I'm going to take my 18-pounder with the crossed out symbol. I'm going to put it on my 18-pounder. So I can't even ready it this turn. Okay, I think we're going to take some damage here because I've got 1 gun ready and there's 2 cannon up. So, what are we going to do here? Well, we're going to fire at that cannon because I've got a lot of damage here. So all we can do is shoot the 24-pounder and we've got a round shot. So we are going to take our 24, we're going to shoot at the medium cannon. It's a little tougher to destroy than the light guns. So let's shoot at that one. So the 24-pounder is going to flip because we fired it. The 36-pounder is going to ready because we didn't fire it. We'll throw that out. We've destroyed this cannon. And now we're going to finally check the consequences. So when the enemy attacks back at you, all you're going to do is just follow this little card here, and it gives you the attack priority. So in this case, the cannon, they go after your ready guns first, your heaviest first. So in this case, our ready guns are the 36-pounder, and it's going to take a shot. Unfortunately, it's got 2 damage on it. So it's going to take a third. It's going to take a 3rd token. 1, 2, 3. So unfortunately, we have lost our 36-pounder. Goodbye. And this one, let's see. We're going to flip the rigging over and cover with the top card of the crew deck. So instead of putting crew underneath it, we're putting a crew on top of it. And we got a gunner's mate. So in terms of turn order, we did the counterattacks. Now we'll turn over the cards. Now at least we exposed the first hull card. So we got the hull up. And now I'll draw 2 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I have the bow chaser and the stern chaser. Now since, unfortunately, we were not able to fire or ready the 18-pounder, I've got no guns ready for my next turn over here. So now let's go over to the yellow player's turn. So he's got one gun ready also, unfortunately, and plenty of ammunition. You know what? I think I'm going to use this officer. I'm going to see if I can get some sort of a decent tactic, and maybe that can help me. So choose a card type, reveal cards from the player deck, and add the first card of that type to your hand. All right, so let's see what we get here. Not a tactic. Not a tactic. Ah, got a tactic. Oh, and this is helpful. So we got a carpenter's mate. They repair damage. So we can take a look at our guns, figure out if one's going to get shot, and repair it. So in this case, and this will be a nice example. So I'm going to use my carpenter's mate on my 18 pounder. It's not firing, but at least it'll repair some damage. And I'm going to shoot my 36 pounder. So here's a choice. I've got a hull card that I could shoot at, which is nice because we need to get rid of the hull card in all 3 stacks to win the game. Or I shoot at the gunner's mate, get rid of him, and this card won't fire, so I won't take any shots back. But then there's still a cannon on deck that's going to shoot at the other player when he comes up. Or I shoot the cannon so that the cannon's gone, but then I'm going to take a shot from the gunner's mate because his counterattack is, if there were no cannon attacks, make a cannon attack. And lastly, we have the one in the middle here, which says if there's no enemy cannon attack, then we're going to turn this over and cover it with a borders card. Well, that's not good either. So this is where, in the end game, you've taken some damage, you're trying to win the game, sacrifices must be made. So here's what I think I'll do, just trying this on the fly here. I don't want this to flip over and get covered with borders, because then it will be even tougher to get rid of. I've only got one gun to fire. If he fires, I'll take the damage, but this won't turn over, and then he doesn't attack me. So I'm going to make the decision to shoot the hull while it's exposed. I've got my 36 pounder, I've got round shot, so let's do that. But before I do, the other player has got, now he's got bow chaser and stern chaser, which would let the yellow player shoot on the green player's turn. On my next turn, I'll have these 2 guns ready. He won't have any guns ready. And I also can use my Marine to get another gun ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my shipmate here, it doesn't really matter which one, I'm going to ask him for a tactic, so I get that from him. So, follow me. 18 pounder is going to use carpenter's mate to repair and get rid of 1 damage token. The other player is going to use the surgeon. The surgeon is when another player uses an officer. Nope, too bad. Well, I'm using that, getting rid of that damage. The 36 pounder is going to fire at the hull. So we are, get rid of the hull card. That's nice. 36 pounder fires. 24 pounder readies. The 18 pounder readies. And I'm going to use my Marine support. Remove 1 borders card from enemy ship, or repel borders, which is get rid of a borders token, or ready 1 cannon after enemy counterattack. So I got to wait for the counterattack and see what happens. So the light cannon fires, goes after my heaviest ready gun, which in this case is the 24 pounder. I'll take a damage. And the gunner's mate, if there was no enemy cannon attack, well there was, so he doesn't fire. So now I'm going to use my Marine support and I'm going to ready a gun. So I'm going to ready this one as a freebie. So now when he fires, on his next turn, he'll still have 2 guns ready. I'll draw 2 cards. And we got another double charge, and we got round shot. So let's come over here. This poor guy, he's got no guns that are ready. Oh, we got to flip over the leak card now. So if you notice, leak cards have no grid. They never go away. So if you drill down one stack really quickly, well, now you're going to have to worry about always dealing with this. And for the waste leak, if there are no borders on board, then you're going to flip them over and cover them with a borders card. So as the enemy ship takes a lot of damage, he's going to pull in close to you, and even though you can still shoot him, he's going to send borders over. That was kind of a typical strategy. If you're losing the gunfight, try to swarm the enemy ship with people. So, can't really do anything over here, but he is going to shoot. So what we can do then is, if we shoot the gunner's mate, the nearest cannon won't fire, so my buddy over here won't take any damage. So let's do that. We're going to use, what do we have to do to get rid of the gunner's mate? We can use chain shot with the 24 pounder. So let's do that. So I'm going to use the tactic and the chain shot with the 24 pounder. So we're going to get rid of the crew, the gunner's mate, which then means that the light nearest gun doesn't fire. So we'll flip the 24 pounder over. Now you see he used up more of his cards now, so his hand's starting to get a little light. This guy didn't do anything, but at least he gets to ready both guns. And there were no borders on deck, so this leak flips over, and now we'll bring borders in. This gun doesn't fire, and this card flips. And we're back to that rigging card. So if we don't take care of the rigging again, it'll flip over and we'll still get another crewman. He's going to draw 2 cards. But now I have more than that number of cards. I do want to keep some... I got a lot of chain shot, so you know what? I'm going to throw out 2 chain shot. 2, 4, 6, 7. Oh, I can keep one of those. All right. Back to the other player's turn. So we got 2 guns ready. We got our 2 round shot. We got a double charge. Double charge. So in this case, if we could shoot the cannon, we'll get the hull card for free, which is nice. Or if we shoot the rigging, in this case, we'll also get that card for free. And we also have to worry about borders attack. Now, between the two, the name of the game is getting rid of those hull cards. So, and I know the next player, he's got a round shot, he's got a chain shot. So, let's think about this. Oh, and he's also got the stern chaser. So let's try this out. Yellow player could use round shot with a double charge. Ooh, but you only can use chain on the rigging. He's got plenty of chain. So if this player decides, you know what, I'm going to use my 18 pounder with chain to shoot the rigging. This is where these tokens come in handy to know who's doing what. And it's actually a playtester suggestion, so that was added to the game because of playtesters. So green player is going to use his stern chaser card with the chain shot to fire at the rigging, and that's going to leave the hull card exposed for when it comes to his turn. The yellow player is going to use his 36 pounder with the double charge. Oh, you know what? No. Let's use his 18 pounder with the double charge, because that'll take out the light cannon and the hull card. And as it turns out, he could use his 36 pounder with round shot to shoot the borders. So let's try that. So 36 on the borders. So that fires. Borders are gone. And he flips. 24 pounder didn't shoot, so that'll flip. And we're going to use our 18 pounder with round shot to shoot the light cannon with a double charge. So we get the light cannon and we get the hull card for free. So that's gone, and this one will flip. And now this player, on this player's turn, he's going to use his stern chaser tactic with chain shot to shoot out the rigging. the bonus, if there was a remove nearest sail, so there's no sail on deck, so we don't get that as a freebie. And just as a note, so when you play, the bigger ships you face, the more likelihood is that you'll have that opportunity to use some of these bonuses. So we'll get rid of this. And we'll throw out the chain and that, and we fired our 18-pounder. Take that token back. So now there's no counterattacks, which is always great. This player will draw 2 cards. How about that? That was nice to get. We have a fortune card. So the fortune cards are the player's version of event cards. So the fortune cards are all fortuitous, good for the players. In this case, we have one of my favorite cards. It's the live oak hull. So in this case, we would place this next to the enemy ship. It's got a little lightning bolt. It says you do something right away. The next enemy cannon attack does no damage to its target. A little picture of a cannonball bouncing off the side of a ship, which if you are a U.S. naval history buff, when the USS Constitution had its first real fight against the Guerriere, the cannonballs were bouncing off the side of the USS Constitution's hull because of the special kind of wood that was used. What was called live oak, and that's how it got its nickname, Ironsides. So we'll place this next to the ship here, and as it turns out, we're not going to have to benefit from it. There's several other fortune cards, which you can either look when I post cards, or you can discover them on your own when you get the game. So right now, we will flip over any cards that were face down. And so we have the bow leak, we have our old friend the waist leak, and now we've exposed the stern. We have our 24-pounder, we have a round shot, kaboom. We don't really care what's going to happen here, because once we've blasted our last hole in the enemy ship, we will win the game. So the 24 fires with round shot. We'll flip that over. You would ready the 18. The stern's been shot out. You've exposed the last leak, and you win the game. So that is perhaps the most extensive video demonstration I've given of the game to boot so far. Obviously, I jumped forward, put some damage out. Now we face the easiest of the 3 stack ships. As soon as you move up to the next one, those medium guns are going to come in. They're a little harder to destroy. Once you move up to 4 stacks, it's much more difficult to avoid serious counterattacks. Taking damage, things like that. So that's really where the game becomes competitive. Certainly, when you add more players, there's a better opportunity for somebody to have a card that's a little more useful for you. In this demonstration, I didn't really have to use officers. There's a captain, a midshipman, there's other kinds of lieutenants. But can't show you everything in a demonstration video. I'll leave that for coming to see me at one of my demos or a convention. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email or a message via Facebook, Twitter, any of those. And you can certainly find me on Facebook, Crispy Games Co. My website is www.crispygamesco.com. So I hope you have I've whet your interest with my demonstration, and I hope when the Kickstarter launches on July 17th that you will back me. Thank you very much.